Buy. No. Sell. We're doing stock trading right here on the Dynasty Pulse today. Producer, hit that button. Welcome to another edition of the Dynasty Pulse with Grindberg and Biggs and Schultzy and Chev, but it's just us two today because we're recording this a little bit early because somebody's got summer plans, living in a country that gives vacation time and stuff like that, Canadian, and we're doing trading today. We're talking about stocks in the dynasty space. We're talking about buying low. We're talking about selling high, managing your assets. And maximizing your assets value, and it's something that we do all the time, and we like to talk about it. So we are here for that. Mike, how you doing?
Man, it's been a while since the OG two of us just did a show, you and I, especially on the Pulse. So yeah, man, it's been a while, dude. It's good to get back into the saddle with just you and I, and looking forward to a busy summer ahead here. We got a lot to cover over the next couple of weeks here on the Pulse. We're gonna get back to our tiers in the next little while here, where we're not just shedding tears here on the show. We're actually going to be talking about ranking tiers for dynasty managers. So yeah, got a busy summer ahead here, Biggs, and
the only way I'll be shedding tears is if the U.S. men's national team gets knocked out of the World Cup tonight.
Yeah, so we're recording this pretty early here during the week here. So when it drops, they could be on to the next round or not. But
I was just glad England got the win last night.
Yeah, you go beat Mexico. That was a tough loss for me in Canada here. But us getting into the round of 16 was super awesome for our country. So we're excited for
this. I won a good bet last night too. Hedged it. I had two bets each on who was gonna be the winner. So I had one bet for Mexico winning, one bet for England winning, but I bet the goals over 2.5, and I cashed that in the first half.
Love it, Biggs. Great stuff, man. And you've been watching that World Cup pretty diehardly. So if there's anybody that you should be putting some bets out there to tail on our network. So if you're interested, let me know. We can maybe get something out. So let's talk about some buy low, sell highs, and talking about dynasty right now. And the landscape here is ever changing. So we're gonna do buy low first. Each of us has brought in two players. We will present the best buying opportunities in dynasty right now. So your buy lows, guys that are going a little bit past what we are projecting this year. So this is kind of getting on them before they explode, or maybe this is a situation where they have had steamed up in the past, maybe didn't deliver. So now it's time for them to do so. So Biggs, let's get you started here. And a guy that we've been both pretty high on over the draft process over the last 2 years here, and it really culminated last year with the way he started out 2025. So talk to us about your first buy low here, and a guy that I'm certainly agreeing with you on this one, and I haven't even heard your spiel yet.
So my buy low is going to be the juggernaut, shout out Rio Linda, California, NorCal, Cam Skattebo. He had a run of about 5 games last year where he ranked as RB5, RB4, RB11. He had a 22 and a 19 in there. He had a 3 touchdown game on 98 yards. But the thing about Cam Skattebo is what he adds in the receiving game. As a senior in college, he led all FBS running backs in receptions. The only player in college football in his senior year that outdid him in the receiving game was Lan Larison, who I talk about all the time. Another buy terribly low, by the way. Grabbed him off waivers and stashed him just in case. But he had receptions of 8, 7, and 6 in 3 of the games that he finished pretty high. That's a great return on value. He had 2 receiving touchdowns. He got hurt. and missed the rest of the season. He only wound up getting into 8 games. He started 5 of them, but having 5 touchdowns on the rushing side and 2 touchdowns on the receiving side in basically 5 games started. The New York Giants offense, and we don't know what's going to be happening with the new regime, but he's an absolute weapon. And he's on a team that's on the rise. They've got Jackson Dart at quarterback. They've got Malik Neighbors, hopefully, and a couple of pretty good tight ends to lead the way for him. So it looks like Cam Skattebo is going to be a primary force in this offense, and you're going to capitalize now. I'm looking on Dynasty Daddy at his ADPs. He's right at RB 18. He definitely has a chance to completely outdo that and jump into the top 12. Guys that he's going around, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs are a little bit behind him. Jadarian Price, Kyron Williams, Saquon Barkley, Travion Henderson are ahead of him. When you start getting into the top 13 and 12, you get Chase Brown and Breece Hall. I know that we're high on Breece Hall this year, but this is a group of about 20 players where just about any of them has an opportunity to return top 12 value as a running back. And Cam Skattebo is definitely in that conversation. Now, if you're trying to like make a trade with somebody, you try and trade Derrick Henry for Cam Skattebo. I think that's really good. I think somebody looks at Derrick Henry and says, "Hey, I can win now." Cam Skattebo, he's not Derrick Henry. I think that's something that's doable. So I think he's definitely in a position where he hasn't had his full breakout season yet. And when he does, you're going to want to have it. So try and get out from under an aging veteran, and then Cam Skattebo is going to basically return super value on your investment.
I love this breakdown. He showed real juice as a rookie, delivering workhorse stretches last year, flashed RB1 upside before the injuries. And, the situational factors cooled his stock, but RB18 in Dynasty, the market is pricing in risk rather than rewarding the talent and the opportunity really in front of them. The market hasn't fully caught up to him successfully evading any real competition in the draft either, which he didn't really touch base on in free agency. This is like an over discount on a 24-year-old back who can handle a heavy workload. He's ranked elite in missed tackles rate, yards after contact per attempt during his rookie flashes. So he can create without extra blocking, and it's not perfect, but it's there. And, they made some upgrades to their offensive line, and there's reinforcements coming there. So I love what I see here. Neighbors is still probably injured and nursing, and maybe Skattebo might be nursing back in, but we could really see an 18 to 22 touch, per game basis here as a baseline if healthy. And with the receiving chops, I love the call here, Biggs, and I'm willing to go there. I think he's priced in, a top 12 back at the RB 18 range. So yeah, I like the call, man. Great stuff here on Cam Skattebo. You touched base a little bit on Breece Hall, but he's a guy that I'm buying as well in that range. He's going as the RB 13 right now, and I'm ready to pounce, and the market overreacts to one bad season or a bad situation. But Breece Hall's grinded through a nightmare, in 2025, poor quarterback play, red zone efficiency was low, often stuck near the bottom of the league in scoring. Despite all of that, he delivered almost 1,100 rushing yards on 243 carries, 4.4 yards per carry with 4 touchdowns. And got to add the receptions to his game as well. 36 for 350. His dynasty value is dipped around to, like I mentioned, RB 13. Managers focus on the team in a mess instead of the player. But at 25, entering his prime, it feels like the classic buy low territory, new coaching staff. Aaron Glenn has already signaled a commitment to building around Breece Hall and excluding this committee that people are, talking about a little bit. I know we're high on Braylon Allen, but I think that's more of a complimentary piece at this stage. The Jets added veteran quarterback Geno Smith with other pieces to stabilize the offense with their draft. They invested 2 first-round picks on receiving weapons there. So I just think that this is a situation where Breece Hall is getting undervalued, and they could surprise this New York Jets team and be a little bit more efficient with them. Aaron Glenn has already prioritized him, and I'm excited to see advanced metrics confirmed as elite traits: 19% broken tackle rate, 81% positive run rate, 61% rushing yards come after the contact. So I think that this is the year where Breece Hall finally, breaks out in the way that we really wanted him to see, and could certainly deliver top 5 value at the position. And I wouldn't muff a hair at that, but I think that, top 10 is certainly there for him, and I'm willing to say he's going to get in the top 10 this year. So give me some Breece Hall.
I don't know what muff a hair means, but I also want Breece Hall. Incidentally, since August of last year, the Jets have as many wins in their home stadium as the French national team in soccer. Anyway, yeah, like Breece Hall, like we've known the talent level. It's been there the whole time. He finally broke 1,000 yards. He's healthy. He's been on the field. I'd like to see an uptick in his touchdowns. 5 to 8 touchdowns a year is not cutting it. The Jets need to really figure out what they want from him. But as far as volume is concerned, I think we can see him right around the 250 carry level again. And then you throw in those metrics, and he's going to have a nice yards per attempt in the 4.5 range. And he's Breece Hall. We know his talent level, and if he's ranked where he's at, he's definitely a go out and get him guy, because people have soured on him. He came in with all this hype. He was a generational running back, blah, blah, blah. Hasn't really returned that yet. So take advantage of somebody that took him with the 101 a few years ago. They're probably soured on him. So if you have a piece that you can throw over there for him, go ahead and do it.
Absolutely. All right, Biggs, let's get into your next buy low, your second one of the day here, and tell me a little bit about one of your homeboys here, because he's now part of your squad here with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, so this is in the stock trade, they call it futures. This is a very, very low cost investment, probably on your waiver wire. I don't think that in most dynasty leagues this guy is rostered. He's ranked on Dynasty Daddy at wide receiver 76. He's never returned a season better than last year, where he finished as wide receiver 61. But here's the thing. If you can go get somebody off the waiver wire, say you have an injured player at the beginning of the season, you put him on the IR, you have an open roster space, get Jalen Nailor, or trade, a 4th round rookie pick for 3 years from now, something like that, something basically of no value. And you get Jalen Nailor on your team. Jalen Nailor was a free agent signing by the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders don't really have a wide receiver 1 at this point. We know the athleticism of of Thornton. We know the athleticism of Trey Tucker. They haven't panned out. Jalen Nailor, as a veteran, has the opportunity to step into camp and show what he can do. Now, that might not come to fruition with Kirk Cousins, but one of the things that Fernando Mendoza is really, really good at is throwing out routes on the boundary. And one of the things that Jalen Nailor is good at is running out routes on the boundary. So if you got a guy who's lined up on the outside or in the slot, and he's catching out passes on the boundary, and Fernando Mendoza is most accurate in throwing those, that's kind of a match made in heaven. If at any point something happens to Brock Bowers, they're going to be looking to move the ball downfield with somebody else in the mid-range, and Jalen Nailor is the perfect candidate for that. And what did it cost you if something happens and he's successful? It cost you a waiver pick. It's a no-brainer. Roster him and wait, because something might happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is great situation here for him. The Raiders and the market is still low to react. I mean, wide receiver 74 in Dynasty, people are viewing him still as just a regular depth piece and the potential volume earner in a thin room, like you mentioned. I think the Raiders were aggressively in on Alec Pierce, and when Pierce re-signed with the Colts, just 3 hours later, the Vegas Raiders pivoted immediately and signed Nailor to that 3-year deal. So they have this future in their cards. That sequence tells you everything about their intent to me. I mean, maybe he won't, get wide receiver one usage. I mean, we're not telling you that, but at, wide receiver 74 in a dynasty startup, there's a real chance for consistent 6 to 8 targets per game for him. And the team's weak offensive line and run game concerns mean they'll need a reliable pass catcher and chain mover. And, look what Nailor did when Jefferson was injured or Addison was out last year and the year before. He had stretches of games where he was a focal point of that Viking offense. And I think that the Vegas Raiders showed their cards here, and not signing Alec Pierce underscores how much they value his fit here. And I think that Jalen Nailor could be one that really turns heads and certainly delivers on his ADP on where it's certainly sitting right now, Biggs.
Yeah, and if you look at the roster situation, he was on a team with Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. You're not really going to get a whole lot of run when you're the fourth read. He could move up into like second read, third read territory when he's with the Raiders. And if Fernando Mendoza takes over the reins like 4 or 5 games into the season, they're going to probably have a pretty good relationship together. And Nailor could return some. A couple of the games last year, he finished as wide receiver 4 in week 10. He finished as wide receiver 10 in week 15 against Dallas with 2 touchdowns. And in 2024, he had he had a couple of top 24 finishes, three finishes in the top 24. So that's not nothing, right? But if you're paying nothing and you're getting back not nothing, that's a win.
There you have it. That is a win. All right. Before we get back into it, a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, Fantasy Spin. If you want a different kind of daily fantasy experience, Fantasy Spin lets you spin your lineup, make your picks, and compete in tournaments based on real player performances. Check the link in the description and the pinned comments. Use promo code PULSE. Deposit at least $10 and play at least one tournament to get $30 in bonus play. Support our network and let's make some noise out there. Now, let's get back into this, and we're going to go over my last buy low here, Biggs, and interested to hear what you got to say about this one, because he's a guy that really was a good piece last year when Malik Neighbors went down. And I think I'm going to swing hard here for the scheme fit and the opportunity here for Wan'Dale Robinson. I think he landed in the perfect spot after posting strong target volume with the Giants in both 2024 and especially in 2025 when stepping into that featured option during injuries to Malik Neighbors. He signed with the Titans and reunited with Brian Daboll's offense at wide receiver 42. Currently in dynasty rankings, I think the market still views him as a situational slot piece rather than a high volume, reliable target earner he has proven to be across multiple seasons now. The price gap creates a clear buy low window for me, for patient managers who understand volume is king in PPR formats. Robinson's skill set translates immediately to his new role. He has consistently shown he can command targets at an elite clip. In 2025, he hauled in 92 receptions for on 140 targets, and he hit the 1,000-yard mark with 4 touchdowns. He's not going to get elite yards and elite touchdowns, but I think the PPR machine here that he's going to be, for Brian Daboll's system alongside that progressing quarterback in Cam Ward, he becomes the ideal underneath rhythm security blanket. The Titans still have a weak offensive line and the run game that struggles with Tony Pollard as their lead back. So you're absolutely going to need to rely on that safety valve. And I think that that's exactly what Wan'Dale brings. I love Carnell Tate. I think he's going to probably earn the target lead there, but give me some Wan'Dale Robinson at wide receiver 46. I could see him, creeping into the top 24 again. And I'm almost going to guarantee he's going to sit at the wide receiver 36 or better here. So Wan'Dale Robinson, certainly a value here and a guy you can, get super late now. And certainly a profile that has shown he could produce already, and the same coaching staff. So I like the situation here.
I'm really conflicted on this one. I have him in a dynasty league that I won the championship last year, and I'm not looking to get rid of him. I just don't know if he's going to reach the target mark. I know that it's a Brian Daboll offense, and I really like his increase in yards per reception over last year, increasing from 7.5 to 11. That's really where the extra 400 yards came from. He also, he had 93 receptions and 92 receptions. You kind of can't argue with that. And that's across multiple different quarterbacks. Like they had a carousel at quarterback, Daniel Jones in 2024, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and Jackson Dart in 2025. So, and in that Brian Daboll offense, he was consistent. So I just don't know if it's going to happen again. He's definitely a piece that I want to have on my roster. It's going to take some kind of feeling out of the owner that has him. If the owner that has him thinks that he's going to completely repeat or do better, he's probably not a low value candidate to buy. But if the guy understands like he's not going to be a wide receiver one, and he'll, make a good trade for you, I think he's definitely like a buy now. I would say more a buy now than a buy low.
There you go. Okay. Well, I like the situation. I think that, he's proven, and we're in a buy situation here. I think, like it. All right, Biggs. Let's get into our sells and some big names here. And I think it's mostly based off of where they are right now, maybe peak value at this stage of their career. So break it down, Biggs. Break down our guy who I'm not sure I'm going to be able to comment too much on, because whatever I say about him goes to the woodwork. So that's not your guy. This is your guy.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
I love George Pickens. I love him. I do. Look at those yards per reception: 15.4, 18.1, 15.3, 15.4. He's a downfield target. Look at the targets last year: 137 targets, over 100 the previous years. He had 93 catches last year. CeeDee Lamb was hurt and missed most of the year. George Pickens is not the wide receiver one in Dallas, but he has a wide receiver 5 finish on his resume. That is the prime candidate to get out from under. You got somebody who returned over value in one season. Go sell him and get back a package that you can do something with. Those numbers I don't think are repeatable unless something happens again to CeeDee Lamb, but we can't predict injuries. So I like the idea of finding somebody to take advantage of his wide receiver 5 finish last year and have big wide eyes about it and give you something really, really good for it.
Yeah, I mean, delivered that true breakout 2025 career high in productions, top 6 fantasy wide receiver finish, big play style, created that variance. I've been up and down on him. The dynamics, the contract related distractions, that's where I think the layer of risk here comes in here. And wide receiver 10 is pretty hefty right now. Historical patterns show wide receivers coming off efficiency driven breakouts often see production normalize the following year. So we'll see what happens. Obviously CeeDee Lamb missed quite a bit of time, but he was very good when he was there too. So I'm worried about this. Obviously, I think this is his peak value unless he gets traded to a new team and he's the clear alpha. So, I agree with you here, Biggs, on George Pickens as somebody that, if the price is right, I'm selling him. His values is probably going to be as high as it's going to be right now. moving forward, unless something were to happen to CeeDee Lamb again. So I like the call here, Biggs, on him, but we love George Pickens and still a value here as a dynasty asset, right? I mean, where do you rank him? Like maybe top 15 still, obviously, but just maybe not the top 10 wide receiver we're thinking.
I mean, his best finish previous to this was in the 30s. So I think he's more. The Cowboys have a more dynamic offense than the Steelers did, and as the Steelers wide receiver too, George Pickens was pretty consistent in not delivering better than a top 36 finish. I think top 24 is definitely like in the cards. That's where I had him last year, and he absolutely blew that away. So if he shows regression, I think he still carries a whole lot of value in the top 24. I think it's more in like the 15 to 24 range.
All right. Okay. Love it. All right. Here's mine. It's going to probably bring some controversy here. And I mean, I love Drake Maye, and I think that, he's where he's going to be sitting for a while here around the quarterback 2 range. He exploded onto the scene last year, obviously finishing as the QB2 overall, monster numbers, had everyone buzzing. 4,400 yards passing, 72% completion percentage, 31 touchdowns and just 8 interceptions, 450 rushing yards. And now they bring in AJ Brown to pair with the existing pieces, and now I'm fading him. I'm not fading him too bad. I'm just thinking that, if the price is at his highest value, I'm thinking that maybe I can get a haul for him. I can get the most value out of him. And we're talking about, a spot that's been pretty in flux over the last couple of years, as the quarterback 2 has been kind of up and down. Outside of Josh Allen has been the staple QB1. But remember, we're 1 year off of Jaden Daniels having the same situation that Drake Maye is coming into. Then you look at Caleb Williams, who's ascending with, more experience, better weapons around him. And the quarterback position has always been Josh Allen. So I see this, being an influx between those 4 guys, and can't discount Lamar Jackson here. So I see that maybe this is a situation where I can potentially, hashtag tier down. In reality, they're in the same tier for me. Tiering down, meaning I could get more pieces to that. So if I can get a Jaden Daniels plus, or if I can get a Caleb Williams plus for Drake Maye, I see them having very similar trajectories. They're all in the same class. This is all their 3rd year, and they're all, destined to make splashes in the league for years to come. So I think that maybe if I can get more out of Drake Maye, this is the prime time to sell. How much more further up he can be? QB1, right? And to me, I don't see him taking that away from Josh Allen in the next couple of years here. So I see Drake Maye just being that staple QB2 in that tier with those other guys. I see big seasons for both Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. So I'm not saying fade Drake Maye, but if you can upgrade, tier down in the same tier essentially and get more, give it to me. So yeah, that's my take. We've been high on Drake Maye. We made a ton of money off of Drake Maye over the last 2 seasons, and there's good reasons, right? I mean, you compared him to being Josh Allen Jr., so nothing against him. I just think this situation is going to be one to monitor, and a couple guys I like as well around him.
Yeah, anytime you can make a lateral move and gain, it's definitely something that you want to consider. Getting a high draft pick, especially in 2027, but not suffering a loss at the quarterback position because you moved laterally, getting a piece like a Cam Skattebo, when you don't really lose much because you're moving laterally, those are the kinds of market moves that winners make.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy sell by all means. You're not selling them for next to nothing, but there's certain guys, and we talked about it 2 weeks ago on our quarterback tier show, where we had Josh Allen in its own tier, and we had a group of guys in tier 2. Now we move into that tier, move back a bit, get some value, maybe a 2nd round pick, or something that you can really, dangle a carrot down the line as a trade thing. I just love gaining the value there in a situation where I think it's pretty lateral. I still see a great season here from Drake Maye. I think it's going to be incredible. Absolutely.
He has the cheat code. He rushes the ball. How about this? When we were doing that tier show, I wanted to put Josh Allen and Drake Maye in the same tier, but Schultzy jumped in and said Josh Allen's in a tier by himself. So there's a tier break. What do you think about moving out of Josh Allen for Drake Maye plus?
I think that's a great move too. You know what I'm saying? You're getting that value as well. You're not losing any value here. Plus, you're getting some, and we're both believing in Drake Maye, and I'm actually considering that move with maybe Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, but obviously Drake Maye is being viewed a little bit more now, so his value is going to be a little bit easier to attain that Josh Allen. I'm going to have to, get more for Jaden Daniels in return here. So yeah, I really do like that situation, and I probably would consider that depending on my build and where I need help elsewhere. So yeah, certainly something to consider. Absolutely. Yep. All right, Biggs, talk about your last sell high. Oops, going the wrong way here because I can't see my arrow in front of my camera.
Sam LaPorta. Sam LaPorta is my sell high. His value is still up there. He's right at tight end number 7. But when I start to scroll down, I start getting into Kyle Pitts. We know what he can do. Kenyon Sadiq, one of the most athletic tight ends we've ever seen come out of the combine. Eli Stowers, who some people argue is going to have a better career than Kenyon Sadiq. Oronde Gadsden, the third that we saw, or the second that we saw last year, have a mini breakout. Isaiah Likely is down there. He's just found himself in a beautiful position with the New York Giants. Jake Ferguson, a lot of people, I was thinking of a different guy. Anyway, the point is that's 5 names that, just like we were talking about with Drake Maye, you can trade Sam LaPorta at his value, get one of those guys who are on the rise and something else. Basically, what you're doing is another lateral move on an up-and-coming star, and you're also adding another piece in there somewhere, whether it's a draft pick or a nice asset that will help you during bye weeks, things like that. Sam LaPorta is good, you guys. I'm not debating that whatsoever. You can't argue with a guy who had 120 targets and 86 catches in his rookie season. But if we look at the trend that's going on, barring the injury last year, he had a big drop in targets. He dropped almost 40 targets total and 26 receptions over his rookie and sophomore season. They have some weapons in Detroit. A guy by the name of Amon-Ra St. Brown, don't know if you've heard of him. Jameson Williams, who is one of the leaders in the NFL among guys with 40 catches plus in yards per reception, yards per target. So there's the downfield threat. And then you have your mid-range threat in Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are going to be the guys that they're looking for. Sam LaPorta is a nice piece, but I think that you can get somebody who can be the focal point of an offense rather than somebody who is a complementary player and also add more to that. So Sam LaPorta is my sell high.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from there, Biggs. I mean, you're a big tight end guy when we come to drafting in dynasty rooms. So this comes as a little bit of a surprise to me, seeing how his value here. I mean, I got a little bit of pushback because I do like Sam LaPorta, and I think that he's priced in kind of where I would be willing to take stabs at him. I know his back is certainly an issue. You mentioned the crowded room as far as targets might go, but we got to remember, obviously those are the risks here, but that's an elite offense. And I think that anytime I can get a piece of that, I want a piece of that Alliance offense. It's elite, well coached, it's built to create fantasy points for multiple catch passers, week after week. And then we bring in, new offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, who is arriving from Arizona, the same coach who turned, Trey McBride into a superstar. So I think that we got to factor that in as well. I think that they're going to be really using him. And then something were to happen to maybe Amara or Jameson Williams, and then you just look at Sam LaPorta being potentially a league winner during those stretches of games, which, goes on the other side of it. So I think his injury potential is baked in to his price. So I see guys, going around him as well that I'd maybe prefer, depending on where you're at in your dynasty. If you're a contender or somebody rebuilding, I'm looking at Sam LaPorta if I'm in a contending situation. So maybe I'm not selling high on him. I would sell him for the right price. I just don't think you're selling super high at his baked in price right now. That'd be my only pushback.
Well, the sell high meaning he's at tight end 7, and I don't know that he's going to return that value. The other thing that I failed to bring up, rookie Isaac Tesla last year had 16 catches. 6 of those catches were for touchdowns. Jared Goff is looking for Tesla in the end zone. I don't know how much of that had to do with LaPorta missing time, but Tesla is a serious red zone threat. 16 catches, and 6 of those were touchdowns. That's like Erling Haaland level of scoring per chance.
Correct. Yep. All right. Well, I mean, that's a situation here where you're going to just have to really go with your gut here and see where the cookie crumbles. I mean, this is a prime situation where a guy is, going to go either way after this season, and he could actually be landing right at the same spot, to be honest, but we shall see. All right, Biggs, good call, man. Let's get into my last guy, but before we do that, let's shout out one of our sponsors. So if you rock out FSAN, then Pro Plus is where you go all in. Head over to FSN.com, subscribe, upgrade to FSN Plus for Jersey League entry, a free rookie guide, and 10% off FSN.com. So free shipping at the merch shop, access the Pro Plus community on sellout crowds. FSN is more than just content. It is full fantasy football network and community. So join it up. So let's get into my last guy, Biggs. And
do it.
It's Tetairoa McMillan. How did I do saying that? I did it way better than in the past, eh?
Yeah, Tetairoa. You could also use Big Pineapple.
Big Pineapple. Yes. Or T-Mac, I think he also likes to be called, right?
No.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm only fading him for, a basic reason, but I mean, he had a really good rookie campaign in 2025, 70 catches on 122 targets, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. He even earned the offensive rookie of the year honors, got plenty of buzz, flash big playability. We were all over him in the draft process, but he's pushed up all the way to wide receiver 9 territory on the strength of that debut. But when you dig in, a lot of that value is tied in directly to Bryce Young and a Panthers offense that ranked near the bottom in efficiency and passing volume. The Panthers' low efficiency setup under Bryce Young has consistently limited target quality and big play opportunities. McMillan is the clear alpha there. I know that, but this feels like an absolute ceiling given his quarterback situation. The 2027 wide receiver class is stacked. I also prefer ascending talents like Emeka Ibuka, Luther Burden, who I haven't shut up over the pass of this offseason with. I like Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Ladd McConkey. All of these guys are getting drafted behind Tetairoa McMillan at this stage. So I like their situations better. A lot of them are tied to better quarterback situations, better offenses in general. And, they're all in the first round draft capital, situation outside of Burden, who's, still borderline first round here. So I just see this at wide receiver 9. His price assumes he maintains that alpha usage, and that Bryce Young improves to unlock him as that consistent wide receiver 1. And the talent for this young receiver is coming off the rails here. I like him, but wide receiver 9, you're paying for his ceiling, in my opinion, and assuming Bryce Young makes that step forward. So this is peak value to cash out. Tied to Bryce Young is a situation for me that I cannot get over. So, just I think if I can get value here, I love Tetairoa McMillan, but I think that, that's hefty price. And if I can get a guy around that plus, I certainly will do that.
Yeah, I'm I'm looking over my roster, the aforementioned team on which I have Wan'Dale Robinson. And I have Tetairoa McMillan in my wide receiver room, along with Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Ladd McConkey. I need a third quarterback, and I'm thinking that it might be a good move to try and move him for a second-tier quarterback. I have Jalen Hurts and Trevor Lawrence, but after that, I just have taxi squad rookies from last year that don't have jobs. So I think I'm gonna do that.
Great value. I mean, you're going to be able to get something big for him, and somebody that can really solidify that lineup, especially with how deep your wide receiver room is. So yeah, I mean, you may lose in the trade as far as value goes, but in the long run, it's going to help your situation. And if you're not buying the hype on what Tetairoa is bringing right now in a Bryce Young offense, then certainly it's something worth exploring, right, Biggs?
Yeah,
love it, man.
I also have Harold Fannin and Trey McBride, and I can start 2 tight ends. So
you're the tight end. I don't know. You like to gobble up the tight ends whenever you can, and I love it, man. We did a show together, solo Mish.
This is old school.
Old school. Felt kind of
way
weird.
Back. This is pre-Schultzy.
Felt good. Felt like we were bunking together again in Canton or something. I love it, man. We're gonna have to hook up this week and have a powwow and just chill for a bit. You know what I mean? But yeah.
How about in about 12 minutes when we run the forecast?
Let's do that. No,
okay.
No, like when you're off work during the day, we'll hang out. But certainly, folks, be sure to check out everything we got going on at FSAN.com, and Biggs is gonna run you through it right now as we say goodbye.
Yeah, we fantasysportsadvice.com, FSAN Hub on YouTube. Check everything out. Go to Sellout Crowds, get the app, join in the community, play Fantasy Spin, and FSAN. We help you win.
We hope you win, folks. And we'll have the full crew back next week. We hope so. The 4 of us will be back ready to attack. And peace out, everybody. We'll see you next time. Later.